enter through an exit. These are the legal rules by Mr. Steve Komphela, who has exited the nest at Swallows. Welcome to Onside ZA, brought to you by Betway. Get way more. Joining me on the show today, Mr. Len Moleko.
How's it?
Seppi Worldwide.
Hello, darling.
Hello, darling. And everybody's favorite super sub. Welcome to the show. It is Onside ZA. I started my intro off with this one. Komphela, in his goodbye message to the club and the fans. Really nice message.
Yeah.
And then a cheeky comment at the end there.
What is your translation of that?
I don't think it was cheeky.
What was he saying, Len? How do you interpret what he was saying?
Maybe he's just saying it's time to go.
No, so look, this is my understanding of it.
That's your Len Muliko's interpretation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? You've been shown an exit.
Yeah.
All the signs are leading you to an exit.
Yeah.
Right? No matter how hard you try,
Yeah.
you can't enter because you've already been shown an exit.
Okay. I'll take that. Tepi, what's the interpretation?
Something similar.
Yeah.
But when he says to not enter in an exit, it means that, as much as they had welcomed him, the door was already open for him to leave. So they had not really put a place for him where he is going to be there for an extended period of time. Do you understand? So he's basically saying, Handle, I wasted my time because I got in here just to leave.
Or is he saying there's no need to climb a dead horse or a dying horse?
To whip a dead horse.
Yeah.
No, look. I think it's been forthcoming. Wait, did we welcome Super Sub?
Yes.
Yeah, I got welcomed. I didn't even get to sit
We
down
can
for
welcome
today.
him again. Now we know you're showing him lots of
You
love.
know why,
Welcome
Mark?
to the show, Super Sub.
Len? Danko.
Danko.
Well, yeah, okay, cool. All is in order. We've seen this coming.
Yeah.
We were on the fence about it when the first incident took place. But if we speak about the first incident was that game against SuperSport United, where if you know Steve is a very honest person.
Very honest.
From what I've seen.
Yeah.
He tells it like it is,
Not
but
really.
he does not.
Not
wait,
like it
Tells
is.
it like it is, but
He tells it in riddles.
yeah, guys.
He tells it like it is. However, he does not put anybody on blast. Because what he said after the incident where they lost to SuperSport United, and he said they did not train for 10 days and they went into that game cold, and you can't go into a match not having done any training for 10 days in a professional era, that is just suicide.
Definitely. So basically, and it alludes to what you were saying. The exit door was already opened.
So, but he was saying it in such a way that he's like, you guys, I mean, why would you even bring me here if you knew that there was, ish that was going on? Because I'm sure that they already knew what was happening, but they were probably ambitious, bringing him in and hoping that things are going to improve for the better, getting a sponsor and the like. And that was not the case. You see, and Steve, by the way, guys, he is a respected person in the football fraternity, locally and internationally. And I don't think he'd want to be part of something like this. And I think him staying as long as he did, and just the manner in which he made his exit, he left like a lady. No, you know what I mean?
Like a gentleman.
Like a gent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did. And in his time with Morocco Swallows, if we look at their position in the table, 13th, but level on points with Chipper United and now Royal AM after their draw with Kaizer Chiefs. 19 points is, even after Cape Town Spurs win at the weekend, is 12 points clear of the bottom.
And taking into account that there were
With
two
one-
games.
With 1 point, yes, two
It
fixtures
was
that they weren't
that
met.
was golden Arrows and
Sundowns that gone
also
without a play.
at the SuperSport United game as well, because that was going to war without any guns.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So
Yeah.
that's 9 points
Gone to waste.
Yeah.
Right? With 1 point in the last 5 fixtures, technically, 1 point in the last 5 fixtures for Swallows, they're still sitting in 13th.
Yeah, And that is, we are yet to see what's going to happen to Swallows thereafter. Guys, I just wanted to read this because some of the ballers might not even know exactly what we are referring to. So this says, to Moroka Swallows staff and players, may I kindly take the opportunity to thank you for your amazing perseverance and professionalism. You portrayed selfless resilience, irrespective circumstances. There were moments where none of us would know what... No, wait, it's too small. Okay, there we go.
You want it bigger? What?
I'm not doing this with you, Shem.
No, I'm asking.
I'm not
Guys,
doing this with you.
Like,
There were moments when none of us would have known that more to say to you, but you always carried yourselves with poise, pride, dignity, and amazing respect. Thank you for respecting the game, respecting the league and the supporters. I shall always respect and remember you. Finally, at the least, the suspense, the sad, painful uncertainty comes to a decisive end. May you forever be blessed, henceforth and forever. Notwithstanding the circumstances, you have already collected 19 points to build from. May I kindly request you to give the same support to Coach Mosanya Dama, Diteko Mutoto, and Telango Beni. Good luck, my brothers, with a delicate task lying ahead. Give it your best. And then he says, it is illegal to enter and exit. Thank you all with your amazing support. With love, Steve Komphela.
do people still write breakup letters? Because I feel like that was a breakup
A
letter.
dear John.
It
That's a
was
dear John.
A nice one.
Yeah.
Like a breakup letter.
Yeah.
It's
It's like, I'm
who
not
does
feeling
that? But
you.
anyway, no, like big ups to him. He left with his dignity still in place. It was not a mudslinging competition. If anything, with everything that has happened, Swallows are the ones who look like they've got egg on their face.
Yeah, definitely. And I just wonder if this breakup, in as much as his statement is very polite and it
But
doesn't
it's
blast
hitting at the same
anyone,
time, guys.
I
If
just
you
wonder
really
if
read
it
it,
doesn't
yeah.
sound like this breakup was amicable.
No, it can never be amicable, friend. You are basically saying to me that you and I are in this thing together, my love. Retlo jola for life. And then jiggy, next thing you're telling me, oh, by the way, I don't think I can do this.
I think the only
Come
split up that's been more amicable than this one in football terms, because a football manager and club split up is ugly.
Mm-hmm.
All the time.
Nasty.
It's always going to be nasty.
I think it became, or it looked amicable because I think Steve made it to look amicable.
Yeah, he's a professional.
Fair. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But in as much as it looks amicable, I just feel like the elements of discontent from his statement, I think he took it by, he took it to heart. He needed that project, and it was something that he was working hard on.
There's something profound that he said. I was listening to a radio interview that he did with Andile Ngube on Metro FM. And he was saying that with all the employers that he's ever worked for, Free State Stars, Golden Arrows, Platinum Stars, Chiefs, Sundowns, he's like, he appreciates and he would never shun or speak bad about somebody who actually helped put food on his table. I mean, put bread on his table. And with the Swallows project, yes, the bread was not necessarily on the table. However, there was effort to put the dough together, even though it did not rise and end up on the table for him to eat.
No, man, the bread was Albany. It was not like a sourdough.
Yeah, no.
Look,
I
basically,
understand
me and him, I think we think on the same. So I understand him.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
look.
I understand him.
Yeah.
So let's look at Nedbank Cup while we're here. Mamelodi Sundowns won their fixture that just closed off a short while ago, 6-1 against
Of course.
MM Platinum.
Yo, did you see how frustrated Dane Clayton and Monip Josephs were? But with fairness, I mean, like, you must not think that, just because we're playing Sundowns, we must just rest on our laurels. You must give it your all.
You
even
have
though
to.
you are La Masia without...
Hasila
Yeah.
Masia, as in like babies.
No,
Masia.
Yeah.
no.
Oh, okay.
Well, they are in this case losing 6-1.
Masia.
They're babies.
Technically.
They are Sundowns' sons.
And then
Okay.
the fixture of the round, Supersport United versus Cape Town City, has gone into extra time at 1-1.
No surprises
expected.
there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a close fixture is a close fixture, whether it's on paper or on the field.
Yeah, no,
So that is one that we'll keep watch on. Currently 101 minutes. The scores remain 1-1.
Oh, on the. I know it's me going back, but
Guys,
on the
okay.
on the Swallows thing, legendary
Little
me is
yeah.
saying the Dube Birds owner should swallow his
Swallow.
pride and sell the club.
Clever.
I don't advocate for such. We've sat here and said the whole selling of the club, status selling,
It's not nice.
it's not.
but we
nice.
don't have an issue with selling of a club. We've got an issue changing names and locations. So if there's somebody willing to take Morocco Swallows, leave it in Morocco and continue the legacy of Morocco Swallows, by all means, because other than that, this club looked like it's going to the dance.
But I think before we even go as far as thinking about the club being sold, it would be nice, ideally, for someone who
Club
has
sold or
some
status
money.
sold?
Club sold. You can't sell the status right now.
Can
Can you sell the status right now?
At the end of the season.
Didn't
Yeah,
no,
no.
no,
Can you
didn't-
sell the status now?
Wait, and please remind me, Super Sub, if
TTM.
I'm wrong. TTM did the same thing with was it Sikukune?
Yeah, they did, but it was not in the middle of the season.
No, the status was sold in the middle of the season. You can only move at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
that's
so
what
anyway,
I mean.
notwithstanding
that is
what you're
possible.
saying, but what I'm saying, my point here was not even about the selling of the club or the status. It would be nice, ideally, to have someone or some people or corporation or some corporate being to come in there and save them, because you can clearly see that the only challenge they have right now is a financial one and probably an
So you're saying
administrative
sponsorship,
one.
not ownership.
Yeah, no, just come in there, maybe get a share then, obviously, right? And come and assist.
I don't know if I want a share in a football club. These things are hard to make
Of
money.
course, yeah. But
Can't
I'm
they
talking
want-
about a
you-
person
you
who
It
has
has to
money
be
to
a
lose.
passion for you. It just to be like a
Yeah.
side hustle for you, something that,
Yeah.
like the
Patrice.
like Patrice and the gentleman that owned 30% of Kaizer Chiefs, apparently,
Who?
the one that was gifted with a 2 million rand car.
Oh yes, I saw
Oh
the
yeah,
car.
no, I
that
know him.
Popstar. Bobby gave him the car.
Mr.
Yes.
Nkuna.
Yes.
Yeah, Nguna.
Looks good.
Yes, the
But
father
why
of the
can't
twins.
Swallows have have mapanya panya in front of the jersey? There?
What is it?
Never mind.
EFF will deal with them.
Never mind.
It's
never
not
mind.
gonna work.
Sammy Bupape says, let's go back to cheating boyfriends analogies. This bread thing's not working, Uncle Len.
Bread is bread, man.
Resort Contain says, good to see you guys. What do you think of Jabu Mahlangu's criticism of analysts?
I've worked with Jabu Mahlangu, by the way, for a good 2 years. We had a show together. And I also know that he always has valid points, but please give us context. What was said?
Okay, I will.
I
give
know
you,
he's a sharpshooter.
I will
and
give you.
he
I will give you
doesn't.
context.
Please,
So
darling.
this is what happened. There is a podcast that is there on these spheres where they analyze big games on a regular,
Yep.
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So it was said that it looks like that particular podcast. Why does it sound like we're gossiping? But anyway, it was said like it sounds like that particular podcast is pushing a certain narrative. Number one, it did so against Bafana during the AFCON.
Okay.
And then every time Sundowns plays, it's as if only Sundowns is the team that gets complimented
Oh, okay.
Then they're
over
going to
all the
lose,
other
yeah.
teams that they are playing against. So the gentleman in question, your former
Jabu.
colleague,
Yeah.
was saying that no, these people actually need to be fair and balanced as opposed to looking at things
Okay.
from one lens.
Objective.
So he was calling them out, basically.
Yeah, Jabu will not mince his words.
But
That's
he's
the thing about him.
right. Were they blowing Sundowns horn on Saturday's
They were
game?
blowing
Oh, yeah.
Sundowns' horn.
On Saturday, yes.
Yeah.
It seemed like I did not listen to what they said.
Yeah.
But the context that I got from listening to
To Jabu.
Mahlangu,
It looks like that
it
was
looks
the case.
like that's what the guys
We're alluding
my
to.
brother, that's what they were doing.
Yes, but guys, remember that this is. Wow. Okay, I see what you did there. But guys, at the end of the day, it is a podcast, and they clearly have people that watch that show purely for that, because we have a lot of.
They've got their own views.
Yes, they views also, and they also have viewers that also want to probably
That
hear
subscribe and say, we love
for
what
that.
you're doing.
Yes.
So
Looks
look,
like
I mean,
Sammy
no fear, no
Bupape
favor.
and Zweletu
But
Mbombia are agreeing with Jabu Mahlangu's sentiments about that specific podcast.
But let's look at it this way, right?
At the end of the day, the moment you put yourself in a platform like that and with a platform like that comes responsibility. And fairness is part of responsibility in games. You can't be one-sided when it comes to these things.
But what if your one eye was closed and you could only see the one half? All I'm saying is, if you're going to go on a platform and there's a certain narrative that you want to push, by all means, what you shouldn't do is, I feel, if we're sitting here and Marco says Man United is the best team since sliced bread.
We'd say, just not right now.
Yeah, no, I think Javi's got a point, guys.
Everybody's entitled to their own opinion.
No, definitely.
Right?
But
Number one.
Yeah.
Wait, let me finish. Number one. Number two, if you do not agree with what Tepi's saying or what Marco's saying, and you agree with Super Sub, then just say you agree with Super Sub and you don't agree with what Tepi or Len is saying.
And move.
Yeah, but
and
it's
move
fine.
on.
I agree with that. And Jabu also is entitled to his opinion.
Yeah,
and
everyone is.
He gave his opinion.
Yeah.
And I agree with his opinion.
Yeah.
Because I believe that the moment you open a platform like that for people to consume, there's responsibility that you need to carry. You need to be fair, and then you need to try your level best to be factual.
And you
Yeah,
need to
but you
accept
see-
criticism, especially as analysts. We criticize footballers even here all
Yeah.
the time. We criticize teams, we criticize clubs,
Yeah.
we criticize quality of games. We need to accept criticism
Yeah,
as
but
well,
Definitely.
and we need to take constructive criticism on
Yeah,
I
but
and
unfortunately,
allow
it is
ourselves to
podcasting, my
get
friend.
better.
Friend,
you know?
it's still podcasting, and there's no BCC.
Yeah.
There
No,
are
for
no
sure.
responsibilities.
BCC does not
There's
even
no,
go to
there's no
fairness.
like,
No, it doesn't.
there's no you
It
talk
does
this,
to a
you
level.
said this,
Not
you said something
necessarily.
this way, and I'm not happy about it, or whichever body.
BCC
But-
says not to necessarily fair.
Yes.
It's just amounts to hate speech
yeah,
and foul language and
gratuitous
things like
violence
that.
and explicit sex.
But-
we know it.
But the thing is, yeah,
Maybe
I think
Sundown
the
is keeping their
major.
lights on.
Huh?
Maybe Mamelodi Sundowns.
Is keeping the BCCSA's lights on?
No, man,
this
keep
podcast.
us.
The podcast.
The
This
unnamed,
podcast.
the unnamed podcast.
Oh.
Betway is keeping the lights on in this podcast.
okay.
Don't worry.
Of course.
Everyone
Maybe
knows
one day
that.
they'll go to
Why would I
Hollywood.
say there?
Yeah.
Referring to our.
I didn't hear you properly.
Hey
Jeez.
guys, Oxalayo, it's
times
a
like
podcast
these
and anyone
you
can
dribble
say
me, okay?
whatever they want to. Guys, it's free speech. It's
Yeah,
a
free
podcast.
speech, free country. Say whatever you want to
It's
say.
whatever.
If you think Sundowns is the best team since sliced bread,
Shut up.
hey man, that's your opinion. If you think Arsenal are gonna win the league,
That's your opinion.
But
Cape
moving
Town
along
Spurs registered their second win of the season with that 3-1 win over AmaZulu. That changes the league format quite dramatically
You
in
reckon?
a way. I think that it changes things because 7 points and 4 points looks more different than anything. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like the gap between a Swallows who we expect to struggle now for the remainder of the season.
is that wishful thinking or is that what we can anticipate?
I think it's just if you show a capacity to win games, I think that changes things. I think if we see another 3 games and 0 points from the next 3 games, then we're like,
Then,
okay, back to
yeah.
square one, right?
But I think Ernest is in there and he's cooking.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I think he's
So-
cooking.
He has done it before
Yep.
with Marisbeck,
Yeah.
and you can just tell with the boys that he has brought in. I mean, he signed, I think, like about 5 youngsters that he promoted.
yeah.
So it just goes to show you that he's cooking something, and
Yep.
he might just manage to get them into the 15th position, or even manage to save them.
And
So
it's a morale
basically-
boost for the players as well.
So basically, the mandate at Spurs now is survive.
Survive
That's
at
I,
all
I
costs.
think there's 5 teams down there that's the mandate is survive. You know, you've
From
got
Chipper
Richard,
all the way.
Yeah, from Chipper all the way.
Guys, you saw what Chipper did, guys. Chipper drew with Cape Town City. Did I see that?
No, look, I just, yes, they did.
Yeah.
I just generally feel the quality of football after AFCON in the DSTV Premiership this opening weekend of the year,
The reopening weekend, yeah.
or the reopening weekend from the exit, it was poor.
Just say Chiefs were poor.
No.
Come out already.
Are you
No, it was poor. It was like, I mean, none of the
All the
top
fixtures?
6 none of the top 6 teams actually won a game. The only game that you can look to and say, like, yeah, it had a bit of potential was the Cape Town Spurs game against AmaZulu.
not TS Galaxy?
Not really. That game did not really move me. Every
when
other
I-
game, SuperSport United, the game started with a bit of umfnyana there on Friday night,
Yeah, yeah.
right, against Stellies. But it just went
But
like,
they drew as well, no?
yes, it felt like it felt like guys were still on some like, you ended our holiday too quickly, man. Have one more week of AFCON. We'll play next week.
I watched the opening minutes of the TS Galaxy game.
Yeah.
And I thought they finished. They're going to get run over in this game. But TS Galaxy
Managed to turn it around.
it's a team that I don't think we've spoken much of on this podcast.
It's got excellent players.
The
very
style of
mature
play
players,
from
yeah.
TS Galaxy is interesting.
Yeah, no,
It's the attempt to play enterprising football, quick, short passes, lots of movement. I think TS Galaxy is actually an entertaining team to watch.
yeah, no.
And,
definitely.
And in terms of their league position, you can't say it's not working for them. 24 points, 16 games, 1 point behind Chiefs with a game in hand.
It's
In
the same
top
TS
8.
that won against Mamelodi Sundowns.
Yeah, so compliments to them in that
Was it
fixture
a
to
draw?
turn it around after, like, for players' heads to go down after those first few minutes where they were getting battered, and turn it around and come back and win 3-1.
Look, Gift Real G is saying that the DSTV Premiership is poor in general. I think that's unfair.
Well,
And then there was silence.
What
his
you can't
opinion.
say in
It's his
general.
opinion.
Wait,
this is what we're going with
gift
today.
compared to what also? Compared to what? How it's not. He
No,
said
in
it's not
football,
giving.
that is displayed in
Compared to
general.
what?
No, it's like a case of there are people who actually feel that the La Liga is better than the Premier League or the Serie A is better than
Yeah, but they're wrong.
the
But
League
yeah.
One. It's your opinion, Marco.
But my opinion is right.
But like, I just feel it's sometimes we don't give ourselves enough time to consume enough of, and I think we've had this conversation before on the pod, in that TS Galaxy is playing against Cape Town Spurs. Somebody would rather watch Crystal Palace versus Everton
But
if the games were playing at the same time.
Crystal Palace versus Everton is a good fixture. We'll get to Premier League in a bit.
No, I was just like comparing.
But you see, the thing about the Premier League and where it's so interesting is that the championship, in terms of watching the football and the competitiveness of the games in the second division of England, is up there with any top division in the world. So I'm not saying that.
Not the PSL.
I'm not saying that.
Me, I advocate for the PSL. Me.
Even
Same
me.
here.
Even me.
Okay, Len Moleko.
Me, I advocate
No,
for
we
the
love
PSL.
PSL, and
Yeah.
and
No, if
there's
your child fails at school, like Bafana, we sat here and
some said they might not even make it out of
No,
the group
I
stages.
changed. Guys, remember the first match I said I take it back and I changed.
No, I'm just
I
saying.
refuse.
did you go to
Look,
the airport?
At the end of the day, I think the
Did you?
DSTV Premier League, if you.
Oh, in fact, he was there.
Thank you very much.
Good
I was
for
there at
you.
3:00 in the morning.
Okay,
Put
nice.
some respect on my name.
Hey, you don't clearly have a life.
I was not wearing red though.
if we
Oh, well, that's good for you.
Yes.
if we measure with the correct stick
What's
to
the-
measure leagues,
Oh.
measuring
Magic
stick.
stick.
If you measure with the correct stick, the DSTV Premiership
Which
is a
other
high
stick did you
level.
want to measure with Tippy?
No, man, it's fine. Let's move.
Yeah, let's move. The DSTV Premiership is a lot of high quality football if you measure it with the right stick. But if you're measuring it against top 5 European leagues like La Liga, Premier League, Serie A,
Obviously.
League, even the Portuguese league, etc., it's not a fair comparison.
Yeah,
You
true.
financially,
Fair point.
location wise, the strength of the
And all the players they buy from everywhere. Anyway.
etc., etc. DSTV Premiership is extremely high quality football and competitive league when measuring with the correct stick.
How different do you think the quality of the DSTV Premiership would be if access was much wider than it already is now
Access in what terms?
in terms of being able to watch the games? DSTV Premiership games, if I'm not mistaken, there are certain regions where you can't access it, even on the African continent. Ola, Botswana, Bola, Zimbabwe, Lesotho.
Oh,
Please
you
let us
mean-
know if you're
you mean,
able to.
the coverage.
Coverage, yes.
Yeah.
Premiership, the Premier League rather. Even Americans wake up in the wee hours of the morning to
My
watch
man,
it.
I was in some place in Africa.
Well,
and
you
then
still are.
outside South Africa.
Okay.
Good.
you know, and they had TVs outside, you know, watching the Premier League in December.
It's a real thing, guys. Even on TikTok, I've seen a couple of, our fellow African brothers and sisters, and they praise the DStv Premiership. They really applaud just how
it's surely
good
the
it
top
is.
league in
fact,
Africa.
Yeah, it's a
of course, my
well-run
darling.
league to start with.
Yeah, and even talking about how the stadium was packed. Guys, Sundowns, and we'll get to it. Sundowns and Orlando Pirates. They were like, "Dang, man, this is we popping." But obviously, and I agree with you, Marco, that obviously with the wrong stick, it is unfair. But you're right, Lynn, in saying that if we had coverage of all these matches continentally,
Not
it would
even
be huge.
worldwide. 'Cause
Before
also
we even go
that's more
worldwide,
revenue,
friend.
right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, that
And
is
then the
more
revenue increases the quality in
course.
the players that you get, the stadiums.
Infrastructure, everything.
You won't have certain teams getting their wings clipped and exiting through an entrance and whatever because they don't have money. Those type of things, you won't have a Bloom Celtic, for instance, that's been gone to the abyss. But big ups to them, even though they're playing in the ABC Mutipa Championship, their fans are still filling up Dr. Mulemela Stadium,
which is good.
It's lovely.
Lack
also,
of of goals and lack of fans in general across the league is possibly something that puts broadcasters off of purchasing the rights to view the league in their regions.
And
I
also
think-
But
the national
I
team.
think it's actually the inverse. It's the opposite. I think as much as there aren't any goals, and you're saying that it does not attract advertisers and sponsors and the like, I think if you have a consistent viewing or a broadcast of all these matches, and obviously the viewer base will increase, and that will then translate to advertisers wanting to jump on.
I've got to.
And also,
my question is, just
your
before
national. Oh, okay.
before you go super sub, why would I score if there's nobody on the stands?
That's what I'm
So
saying.
that's
People
part of what I'm saying is
interest.
if you fill the stadium and you add goals to the DStv Premiership, it'll be more attractive for broadcasters to show elsewhere in the world.
Yeah, I can't stress enough the importance of the national team doing well as well. That
Yeah.
give exposure to your country. Like we recently seen how Bafana went, by AFCON. That definitely is going to bring the spotlight in our country, and a lot of people, especially European leagues, they're going to now start to look into South Africa as a destination also to scout players. And that also sort of increases the value of your league. That's why the Brazilians are so valued, their teams are so valued.
Oh, until
But
they
guys,
get relegated, like
yes,
Santos
But
did.
you know what would be nice, and I'm going to say something similar to what I had mentioned earlier about Swallows. Wouldn't it be nice to have the city football? What do you call it? CF.
Yeah,
City Football Group.
Yeah.
Yes. Wouldn't it be nice to have a city football group as opposed to them just coming, scouting, taking players to come in here, plow back, give us resources, give us knowledge and the like, and just improve overall South African football?
So to be part of the City Football Group, they obviously have to buy.
Yeah.
The PSL handbook does not allow for any
Mara,
foreign ownership.
Yeah, friend, but with what's the team right now that they didn't necessarily buy, but they are coming in and they are offering some services.
The Turkish side.
The Turkish team.
No, but they are buying that team.
Yeah, friend. But
He knows. He saw the books.
and
Okay,
also,
maybe
okay,
more
so what
strategic.
they buy? So what they buy Swallows?
Well, they can't.
They
That's
can't.
what
They're not
Len's
allowed
saying.
to.
They're not allowed to. It's part of league regulations. But
Well, they can use me. I can front for them.
yeah.
There's always a way. But all I'm saying
you'd
is that
have
it
to
would
say-
be nice.
But you'd have to say where your money is coming from. Remember before
You know how tough SARS is. Have they ever audited you, my man?
don't worry. Leave us alone, Sarah. We
don't
don't have
mention those
money.
things.
Don't bet on us. Remember when before Swallows was actually owned or run by our favorite tweeting chairman, there were murmurs making the rounds that there is an overseas consortium that's trying to buy the team out. And that transaction never went through.
Yeah.
So then what happened to AX Cape Town?
No,
How did
just
that
calm
work?
down, yeah.
Yeah?
What happened to
there's-
AX?
That was a collaboration.
There was collaboration,
it was
yeah. So
AX,
strategic
Amsterdam,
partnerships and stuff. We'd
Yes.
like to see some of those come
That
back.
would be
I mean, we
nice.
remember Fire Note had a partnership with Supersport United for years,
You see?
mostly as a feeder club. So they would send certain players on loan to gain experience in our league, and they would take a lot of young players as a feeder club to their leagues, and that's why we saw a lot of South African players in Eredivisie at the time. Portugal does it in South Africa as well, where they have strategic partnerships with certain
The
clubs.
KZN Academy that I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard somebody saying, Well, the Portuguese league that thing is owned by a very popular broadcaster in the country.
I wouldn't be
Broadcasters.
surprised.
Well,
Broadcaster.
let's move on from the DSTV
Don't rob
Premiership.
yourself.
Unless we want to close off with Kaizer Chiefs picking up where they left off, goalless draws
Ish.
against Royal AM. You
know what I like about Kaizer Chiefs? They're staying on brand.
consistent.
Consistency.
But
you gotta
yes.
give it to them.
No, but the interesting thing about Chiefs, right? In as much as you want to blast them or go
Not
at
blasting them.
they not too
Guys,
far
they're
off.
drawing.
They're a point below, a point below Pirates, 2 points below Stellies, who are fourth,
And
5 points behind
SuperSport.
SuperSport United and Cape Town Spurs. That's 2 games to turn things around.
And-
Suddenly they are in Cav.
And their league form's not awful. It's 3 wins and 2 draws from their last 5.
Yeah.
But
They're staying on brand.
Because the thing about them, and that's one thing I like the past 5 encounters, if they don't win a match, they'd rather draw. They'd rather go home with a point.
So in the past, of the top 10 teams, right?
Yeah.
Chiefs, Stellenbosch, and Sundowns are the only teams that have not lost a game. Going on form.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
So I'm saying
They're consistent.
there's something for me there, ne? We might not see it, ne?
yeah, no. Look, Kevin is not bad at all, but hey,
Also, you're just here for bend.
it's not enough for Kaizer Chiefs supporters. They're not happy.
They've been in an abusive relationship. We understand,
Yeah, no, definitely. But what I'm saying is,
at some point
they didn't look like they will. That game, it did not look like they were gonna. Even if they play another 90 minutes, they were gonna win it.
But this is Royal AM. Since they came into the DSTV Premiership, they've always been a bogey team for Kaizer Chiefs. Every team has their bogey team.
Yeah, look. It's
So
not
all
good
I'm
enough.
saying is, I think let's see after round 22 of matches and see where Kaizer Chiefs are going to be. There's a derby coming up. They're probably getting riled up for that.
Yeah.
They're playing Nedbank Cup this coming weekend against Mapona FC team from there that we don't know about. Oh, Pirates also eventually got their
because that game was
their opponent.
Yeah,
So-
they got their opponent. 'Cause that case was struck out.
So let's see what happens. Is Chiefs finishing top 4 and winning the Nedbank Cup a return for their season?
Nope.
especially after
a
how it
cup won't
started,
be
it
a
would be
bad
good.
return. Top 8 and the cup, I
A
think.
cup, yes, but not top 4.
So
You don't think they will finish top 4?
I don't see it.
Let's revisit this later in the season. And when I say later in the season, after the Nedbank Cup game already, we can revisit that idea because they still have fixtures to play there. Do we want to talk about the last season's first last season second, Orlando Pirates 1-1? Well done to Pirates for actually getting a point out of that fixture after going a man down.
Why are you saying well done to Pirates and not to Sundowns?
But wait.
Sundowns.
Wait.
it's his opinion.
If
Wait.
Sundowns don't get 3 points, it's not well done. Ask Rulani.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's not a bad
Marco,
point for either
stop
side.
being her surname, okay? Anyway,
Ah! You suck. I can't with you today.
so
Woo.
it's okay.
Give your thoughts.
It's okay.
we're waiting for your thoughts.
She disturbed me. Anyway,
You disturbed yourself.
sorry, I was trying to enter through an exit.
That's your
Anyway.
problem right there.
So, why is it? There are instances whereby we ask ourselves, but we never take accountability, especially as fans. This is me referring to allegedly what happened at Loftus on Saturday.
On
I
the
didn't
pitch.
What happened?
No, not on the pitch. Outside.
No, we were still talking about the game.
It was 1-1. Draw. Share of the spoils.
Okay.
Is this Len Muliko's rant?
I
Marcus,
suppose so, hey?
Marco?
Okay, this is the first of probably a few Len Moleko rants brought to you by Betway. Get way more.
At a point as fans, we need to take accountability. At what point, with the point, do you feel the need to leave your house, go to a stadium knowing that you don't have a ticket?
Also, they were like, maybe give context. I don't know what you're talking about.
So
It's- yeah.
So there were few fans who were complaining that the arrangement or the organization of the game on Saturday at Loftus was, well, not organized because people were going in without tickets, security was not present, people's phones and what's and stuff were stolen, and people felt very unsafe.
Yeah.
And they were blaming this on the fixture actually being played at night as opposed to it being played during the day. Which I feel is unfair because Pirates Sundowns, be it at Orlando, sometimes at Loftus, does play at night.
Yeah, it does play at night. They've got a point in a sense that we know this is South Africa, and a fixture like that will always attract certain characters that we don't want in football, and for them it's an opportunity to make quick buck, and that is the unfortunate part about it.
But I hear that element. So are you telling me that was it supposed to be police presence, mapanya all around the stadium? Because criminal elements don't necessarily happen just outside the stadium. They can happen inside the stadium. In a corner where you're not looking and something can be taken.
Yeah, what I'm saying is in order to preserve our football, to save it from these people, we have to put measures in place because we know what could transpire. So even the organizers need to take responsibility in as much as those individuals that went to the stadium without tickets must take responsibility.
But at what point do we become responsible? And we've spoken about this.
It's never going to happen.
I think you spoke about, was it you who was complaining about a trip you took to Orlando Stadium and you were very unhappy with how, I think it was just outside the stadium, just how everything was like arranged and like there were unsavory characters just lurking around. And
yeah, so what I'm saying is, unfortunately, those will always be part of us. We're living in a country where there's so many social ills, so much unemployment, There's people that look at that moment and see an opportunity.
Choppy.
So what I'm saying is we have to guard ourselves against those, unfortunately. We can't just leave it to individuals to be responsible. That's why we've got government to govern us, as people call it.
We've got what?
We've got government to govern us.
Okay, never mind.
Maybe next year.
So we can't leave it to people. That's the bottom line. So the powers that be need to do better in terms of arrangements.
But how much outside of putting a pacifier in your mouth? What else do you want them to do?
Well, I don't organize events and I'm not overly familiar with it. Let's move on to the rest of the continent.
No, guys, no. Super Sub, no. Before we can't leave Orlando Pirates because he says, Jorge, it was a 1-1, it was a stalemate. No. Can you tell me, Super Sub, why your boys were doing that to Ronwen? Why were they really coming at him in the box while it still had the ball, was about to release the ball, and what kind of conduct is that? What are your thoughts, my friend?
Yeah, that's football for you. I can't remember if it was it Samuel Eto'o that once had a steal and then score a goal from what team was doing.
We saw it in the Champions League final with Real Madrid versus Liverpool.
So those are football tactics. Players will always do that. Those
Try unwind you.
The dark arts of football.
Yeah, so that is normal in football, unfortunately.
Should it be
especially
normal?
when you're playing
That's
against
what
the
I'm
bigger
asking.
side? You need to try and leverage
That's
whatever
why-
advantage you can get.
Again, that's why we've got officials to
What do we say
officiate.
about the officiating? That's another point. On its own.
So what I'm saying is, if you are you in football, you're always gonna get those incidents, and then players will always push the boundaries. So it's up to the officials
to officiate
in a proper manner. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
And we don't have VAR, so those things, but also it doesn't count when that's the situation. So like we're a poor league, man. That's why we can't.
We are a what? A poor league.
We're a poor league, man.
Okay, let's move on
Poor
to
is
the rest of the
relative.
continent. Am I allowed to now?
Yes, darling, you may move.
Bafana Bafana now ranked 10th in Africa and number 58 in the world. That's almost underwhelming to me. I was hoping for bigger climbs, but
remember,
Over
it's
above who?
it's a point system, and
Yes.
Yeah, we have
and this has
1.1410.
it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. We went into AFCON and we sprinted, and it does not give us more points, unfortunately. So
but
we
do
need
you
to
not
be
feel
consistent.
like AFCON's not enough of a point system? Like shouldn't AFCON be dedicated more points by FIFA for good performance in that tournament?
He cleared us out
Because in a
so
World
much
Cup,
weight.
you gain a lot of points for good performance in a World Cup.
But I don't know their structure per se, in a
That's
sense
the
how
other
they
thing.
they distribute the points, but I'm saying that we haven't been really doing so well. We need to keep this consistency, and that's how we're gonna climb up to the top.
And
So,
Marco, wait, may I just say, Marco, and I understand what you're saying, because clearly the pointing system, when it comes to AFCON, they award less points, because Morocco, who is 12th in the world and number one on the African continent, has 1,663.39 points. Bafana in 10th position with 10th position as in like the top 10 on the continent. 58th, 58th, yes, internationally, according to FIFA. Their point is 1,410 and 23. So there's a good 250 point difference.
So think of it this way, right? Marco, me and you are going to Pretoria.
Why?
To see your girlfriend.
Yeah, the cheating one. Let's
Why?
go.
You want to...
It will only
I
make
did
sense.
not have relations with that woman. So we're going to Pretoria. We get on the highway.
Yeah.
I drive and I get to almost the N14.
Yeah.
You still have not left Rosebank. By the time I get to Pretoria, I would have been way longer there than you.
Further.
So yeah,
That's
I
what I'm
understand,
saying.
but I think I understand how it works in the point system,
Yes.
etc. And I understand Bafana were quite far down, but I thought that perhaps AFCON would be more valuable in the point system to have a greater climb than what we saw. I'm still happy with the climb, etc. But I'd like to evaluate the point system, because when I saw those results, I'm not saying overly underwhelmed, but I feel slightly underwhelmed that I feel like Bafana could have climbed slightly more.
Top 5, top 8.
No, not necessarily top 5 in Africa, etc. It's just maybe closer to the 50 in the world.
I see.
Do you know what I'm saying?
You're not concerned about Africa, but more the world.
Yes, because the tournament was very competitive. I'd like to see where DRC climbed to as well in these point structures. And I just think AFCON was such a good competitive tournament that perhaps more points could be relayed for this. And maybe it's something that'll be evaluated by FIFA in future.
I would like to believe that the very same point system that we use are the very same point system that are used on Asia Cup, on CONCACAF, and on other.
So if it's not World Cup, if it's like,
I'm sure there's a level,
Yes.
and then there's a World Cup.
Yeah, but would Euros be
It should be in the same. It should be in the same level.
That would be interesting to
and the
inspect. I
Nations
don't
League,
know.
that would also be interesting.
That would also be interesting.
Because it's also give them an extra advantage because
they play more games.
It's an extra tournament.
But either way, applause to Bafana Bafana and being closer to that 50 mark, which we know is very important for work visas for South African players who have represented Bafana for a certain number of fixtures to get a work visa in European football.
Against Algeria.
Very, very quickly, guys. So the top 10 goes as follows. Bafana, obviously 10th position in Africa, 58th in the world. Then we have Cameroon, 9th in Africa, 51st in the world. Mali, 8th and 47th in the world. Algeria, 7th and 43rd in the world. Then we have Tunisia, who is 6th and 41st in the world, Ivory Coast, 5th and 39th in the world. Egypt, 4th and 36th in the world. Nigeria, 3rd position.
They overtook
28th
Egypt, I
in
believe.
the world. And we have Senegal, 2nd in Africa, 17th in the world. And the leading team, obviously Morocco, 1st and 12th.
Were Egypt at the previous World Cup? Just want to remember.
I can't
I
remember.
think they were.
Because I'm trying to find reasons to justify why they're so highly. But then again, also speaks to visiting the cheating girlfriend in Pretoria.
Yeah.
Because they had
were
been
there before.
performing
They were
for so
there.
long. Yes.
So what Marco
Performing
wants,
for so long. Yes.
what Marco wants, he just got back with his cheating girlfriend, right?
So he wanted to be faithful.
Within 6 weeks. Give it time. Let's see if she's gonna perform the way she performed in the past 6 weeks.
Nah,
She's still
I
for
want
the
to-
street.
That's not it at all. I want to upgrade to a better girlfriend, not one that's still cheating.
So
After
let's
I've
see
done
if
such
Bafana
good
Bafana are
work.
gonna perform better next
We've got
time.
Algeria, Andorra.
We've got Nigeria coming up in June.
Yes, so it's firstly in March now in the international break. There's Algeria and Andorra. And then in June, we've got
World Cup qualifier.
Molalo's favorite
Neighbours.
opponents
Yeah.
on the continent in a World Cup qualifier.
The Giants.
Okay, let's move on. CAF. I don't want to look forward too much to the next AFCON. We've got CAF action in club football coming up.
It's in June, is it not?
No, club football.
No. The AFCON is in July 2025.
But
It's supposed to be.
There's a preliminary draw.
There is. No,
Because
it happened
it's-
today,
it's-
that draw.
Yes,
but then
for
I
the
tried to
small-
check it out and they were speaking a different language and then I just
Small
supported Mission.
nations.
Bo,
in the
Lesotho.
ranks.
No, sorry. So let me respect Lesotho. No. Eswatini is there.
Yes.
Djibouti is there.
Djibouti, Sao
yeah.
Tome and Principe,
Chad is there.
Mauritius.
Mauritius
South
is
Sudan.
there.
Cape Verde.
No,
Oh,
Liberia.
damn it. Anyway, because I was going to be railing behind them. No, I was talking about...
Won't you like that?
I was speaking about the AFCON, right? The one in
Yeah.
2025. My understanding, and I stand to be corrected, it's actually going to be played a week after the Club World Cup is done.
Is it not going to happen before?
No, because the Club World Cup is a longer format.
Ah, okay.
So now they will, assuming that they may delay the AFCON because of the extended number of fixtures in the Club World Cup.
Because Club World Cup is now going to 20... Is it 24 or 32?
Because it was 8 teams.
It was like, yeah.
It was 8 teams before, and now they've extended it to 16.
Is
No,
it
I think
16
it's
20
teams?
more than,
something?
I think it's
Yeah.
more than that. I think it's 24 teams.
24 teams?
Yes, I stand to be corrected, but I think it's 24 teams. And that might hamper the start of the AFCON.
Of
but
course, and
it's
Masuka
fine.
did say that.
I suppose we're used to it, right?
But back to continental football and away from the international, I feel it's too far ahead to talk about. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
But coming up this weekend, we were just talking about Sundowns. We're going to carry on talking about Sundowns. Clearly, they've got a fixture against Noadibo
Of Mauritania.
on
It's 32
Saturday at
teams.
6 p.m.
Club World Cup,
Wow.
32 teams. From 15th of June to the
That's a lot.
13th of July.
Damn.
It's a lot of
It's going to
teams.
be long.
Well, I did suspect, though.
Okay, so looking forward to the match day 5 of the CAF Champions League. Who's standing out for you? Pyramids, Al Ahly, Sundowns,
Sundowns, obviously.
We
Sundowns
did.
will always be there.
Wydad.
Nah, we does it.
The Moroccans will always be there. I know their hearts are broken, but they will always be there.
Complaining.
Al Ahly as well. Look, if we look at Group A, right? There's 2 more games to go before the quarterfinals are almost sorted.
And Sundowns playing away first, right?
Well, Sundowns are top of their...
No. There's still group stages now.
Yeah,
It's
man, I
still
get
group
it. They
stage.
have to go. Who are they playing next?
They're
And I know they're traveling.
Noadibo.
They're traveling
on
today.
Saturday,
Yes, they're
who
traveling.
are
Yes,
currently
yes.
bottom of
Mauritania.
Group
Yeah.
A.
But
And
just
if-
3 points away
Yeah.
from the top.
Nice.
So Sundowns will have to, in their away fixture, avoid loss to be at least fairly sure of progress to the next round ahead of match day 6 as well. In a group that has Pyramids as well, who are only 3 points behind Sundowns.
Look, I think what Sundowns just need to do now is just play for a draw. And I know that's not what Coach Ruan is going to do. The bulk of his starters actually were rested in the game against...
Pirates.
No. La Masia.
Oh,
the
today.
Nedbank Cup. The Mokwenas of this, like all the regular starters, they were
Yeah.
rested.
And they still scored 6-1. Nice.
So they...
Well, 1.
Oh, but some of the defense splitting passes they were doing, oh my God.
Shit. Snap.
Felt like I was watching ETV at 12 o'clock at night back in the days. Anyway.
Wow.
So... What?
Manuel, is that
Why?
you?
Was it wide open? What does it
No,
mean? Was the match open?
No. Trust me. But what Sundowns just need to do is go to Mauritania, either draw, and then Tipi Mazembe coming to Loftus. That they should make easy work of, and
Easy.
it's boom boom for them going into the quarterfinals.
Easy.
Just
Yeah.
an update, guys. It looks like Super Sport United goes through to the next round after winning 3-1 on penalties.
We can't compete.
Congrats,
We can't compete on all competitions.
Yeah.
Nedbank Cup.
I told Campbell not to.
Yeah, but like
Okay.
one day we'll have that conversation. But so still on the Champions League,
And
Marco.
it's 0-0 City Brentford in the league.
Oh, there's that
City.
other goal.
Yeah,
team
How many?
that's
Oh
playing.
wait, how many minutes are they into the game?
I think it's about 20 minutes now.
20. Okay.
You know, I said Wydad are gonna be okay. They actually might not be. Well, they might be, but they might not be because
say that?
look, ASEC Mimosa looks like they threw there in Group B.
Well-
10 points.
They're 2 points off second place, which they will require to progress from Group B.
Yes, to win both their games.
They're currently sitting bottom, and up next they've got Jwaneng.
Johnny
Johnny get
Johnny
trap.
rocks.
Running the
Johnny
first
Atrap.
go to the corner before
Is
the
it fair
trap
to
you.
also say
it's
that?
away at Running.
Ooh,
Yeah, but
ask Pirates about
Is
that.
it fair to also say that Wydad might not be the Wydad we know?
Yes, because Sundowns and South Africa took everything that is Moroccan
like Wydad is
and
not that
Wydad
Wydad.
about
You know what I mean?
Wydad.
Does that make sense? Because even when they're playing Sundowns, guys, it was not giving.
No, but Sundowns knows their number.
Yeah, I
That's
get
it,
that.
yeah.
But even so, you are still a Wydad. You dig?
Well,
Look, they're still defending champions.
Yeah.
for now. But
So
ASEC
you can't
definitely.
really write them out.
Yeah.
I would like to see Kanakimang coach here Jwaneng, the South African guy. I'd really like to see Jwaneng go to the quarterfinals of the
nice.
Champions League. Actually,
Yeah, no,
that would be
nice.
pretty dope.
Yeah.
And
So
with the
for
other
Southern
ones,
Africa.
Al Ahly, it's still very close with them in Group D because either one of them or Young Africans or Madema or Belozudad, they can go through because the difference there between the four teams is just 2 points.
Belazo did. Okay.
Okay, so we happy to wrap up
Kev?
with CAF Champions League?
Well, the
I mean-
AFCON is finished, Chief.
Yeah.
Anticlimax.
Like,
Okay, so let's get on our jets and jet off around the world with
still going
Tippy
worldwide, my
Worldwide.
friend.
It's
We've
time
got
to
our
go.
tickets read.
I even forgot. First class.
This is
economy.
around the world with Tippy Worldwide, brought to you by Betway. Get away more Tippy, darling. Where we headed off to?
So we, my darling, are headed to Istanbul. So we spoke about it briefly earlier, but Istanbul Basaksehir have become the latest side to join the City Football Group, the CFG, the owner of English soccer giants Man City, and multiple other clubs. And in fact, I have a whole list. They actually currently own 13 clubs in total. It is said that
14.
it says 13 here. I couldn't know
The
they
14th
added them.
Yeah, but
Super Sub.
Major League, but also Major League Soccer doesn't count. New York City doesn't count. It's
My
not
New
a
Yorker
club.
friend is actually one of them. Hey.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it doesn't count. It's MLS. It doesn't
Yeah.
count.
When you count
So they have 11 clubs.
the owner, the people who own that, the CFG, you must always count Super Sub as one of the people that they
Wow,
own.
actually, I don't like this whole model. Actually, I was thinking about it, and I
Including
Wow.
What
wait,
model do you
happened?
not like? But long story short is that yes, it is happening. And so my question to you is that would you say that it is a good move for the Istanbul club to go into business with these people?
Of course.
And what advantage would you say it is going to bring to
It's a
Turkish
no-brainer.
football?
the group shows success.
the group shows success, and they will have some money injected, and
And the next Ada Gula is going to be at Manchester City, just like Savio's going from Girona to Manchester City on June 1st.
Yeah, like
It's just
global
gonna be-
branding.
yeah, look, man, I just feel like they're overdoing it. What they wanna. At some point, what is the end goal for this? And I was thinking about it, and I asked
World
myself,
domination.
world domination, yes. Are these people trying to be in a situation where they created their own Super League?
They want to monopolize, friend.
Yeah, I think it's going to be the
Yeah,
most interesting part of all of this is going to be when the regulations are clearer about teams under the same ownership playing against each other in continental competition.
But my friend,
With what UEFA mentioned when we were looking at Girona, who's likely to qualify for the Champions League next season, is Manchester City and Girona going to be allowed to compete with each other
Yeah.
in that same way? And it's something that we talk about in other sports like Formula One, where I remember years ago where Rubens Barrichello was racing for Ferrari and was asked to move over for Michael Schumacher because he's the main driver. And that we don't want to see in football is say Girona roll over because Manchester City is the one that we want to go win this league.
That wouldn't be fair for football.
No,
Yes.
and that's what we don't want to see. And I
We don't
think
want to
this
see
is
that.
the
But that might
real
happen.
concern
May I-
with it.
yeah.
It's a possibility, right?
It is a possibility, but when I just also mentioned something right now, and as much as your points are valid, would not want to have certain teams owned by the same owner and having to go up against each other. But the reality also is that within the 13 teams that CFG owns, there are really on different continents as it stands. So maybe the direction in response to you, Super Sub, is not for them to want to have a Euro whatever, but they might want to create like a continental, a multi-continental competition because, they have teams in Uruguay, they have teams in India, in Belgium,
That's what
in
I'm saying.
Brazil,
It's their
in
Super League.
Italy.
But if you look
in
at
Waibona.
FIFA
So,
Club World
if you
Cup.
look at Italy,
Yeah.
Spain,
yeah.
Turkey, Belgium, all compete in the same UEFA competition. So if this
Japan
Turkish
is here,
side
Australia is here.
gets the success that we expect our CFG
Yeah.
would bring to the team, we've seen it at Girona. Manchester City is going to be the landmark club
Of
for
course.
this group.
The big brother.
For now.
I mean, they're called City Football Group for a reason. It's going to be concerning when they start facing off against other teams owned by the same ownership. And it's something we see similar with, I believe is it Nantes in France with Ineos Group, who's now purchased a large stake in Manchester United.
yeah.
And this is something that the regulators are going to have to take a close look at because
They saw a loophole.
No, wait,
well,
question.
we do like the idea of people with expertise purchasing football clubs, right?
Yeah.
It's like, why would you not want someone who knows how to bring success to a team in England, bringing success and their knowledge, etc., to a club in Turkey and to a club in Belgium? But it starts getting concerning when they have to compete with each other.
Yeah, it shouldn't
And
affect
regulators
the
have to
integrity
look-
of football.
Yes.
What
So
do we also
is it-
say? Okay, speak, friend.
Is it a case of before I lose my trail of thought, Morebudi, that's the coach I was looking for.
Johnny. Yeah.
Morena. Red Bull Leipzig
Yeah,
and Red Bull Salzburg.
yeah.
They both play in the Champions League. Is it with them the case that the ownership model in the Bundesliga, I think it's a 50+1 model.
Yeah,
you don't have a brand
there's-
that owns more than the fans actually own.
Yeah.
So is that how Salzburg and Leipzig are actually able to get away with them being under the Red Bull umbrella, but
Interesting.
still being able to play in the Champions League?
If
Interesting.
I don't know, Len, and if that is the case, then City and is it Girona? It's the same model because City doesn't have what you call majority. I think they own 49%.
Oh, so it's that 50+1 scenario.
Yeah, and there's I think the other shares are owned by the fans, the people.
Yes, and speaking of fans, guys, there's another
Actually,
thing
need to
that-
look into that for the record.
I want to
it?
check that actually.
Yeah. So what do we also say? Because as much as it's a great deal, financially, the expertise, the global branding, etc. But what about the potential commercialization sometimes of the brand, and that might also, take away from the club's identity, and maybe the fan base might not be happy about that. Is that something to also consider?
It's an interesting thought. What I will bring up here quickly is that UEFA rules state that clubs cannot hold shares or have management control in another club taking part in UEFA competition, nor can individuals and legal entities have ownership or management control over more than one club. In the case of Leipzig and Salzburg are both allowed to play in European competitions after UEFA investigation in 2017. UEFA club finance investigators noticed an unusually high level of player loan transfers between the two teams, which is what we're talking about with the Girona move and Manchester City.
this other team
Some
is
of these
doing.
transfers from Salzburg to Leipzig included Benjamin Sesko, Naby Keita, Marcel Sabitzer, Deata Pumacamino, and Dominic Szoboszlai. They also highlighted the common visual identity, similar branding, which nods at their similar badges and kits. The Austrian drinks company Red Bull owned both teams up until this investigation, and they were forced to make changes due to UEFA rules. Salzburg chose to remove members of staff that were allegedly linked to Red Bull, and their cooperation deal with Leipzig was ended with the sponsorship scaled back. So the regulators are aware of the problem and they're not shifting, and the clubs have to shift.
So
So-
City Football Group in this case that
This
we're
is a
talking
cool case.
about,
It feels like we're in the ICJ of football here.
so they own 47%.
Yes.
And then there's a gentleman, Marcelo Claure, owns 35%
Of Girona.
of Girona, and the Girona Football Group owns 16% and 1 or 2% to others.
What does
Okay.
that mean?
They don't have majority.
So that means they can
So-
play against.
No, so I think
Well, we'll
City-
see. UEFA will
Yeah.
investigate and see how much management control they have
Yeah.
within the club and if it will be an impending factor.
I
But
think
in-
City bought Girona and they unbundled it so that it does not go back to them.
Can
Because
conflict.
I think they probably had foresight that we
180
might run,
charges,
We
yeah.
might run, and the 180 charges, we might run into problems. So let's unbundle this. Let's unbundle so that we don't get into issues going forward.
Okay, darling, where are we heading to from Turkey?
Oh, you guys, from Turkey, we are headed to the Netherlands. And this one is not a nice one once again. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Quincy Promes. Quincy used to be a player who played in the Dutch league and a former international footballer. And once was a target, by the way, for Manchester United. And the prosecutors have asked,
They just buy anything, ne?
Former Dutch international Quincy Promes has been sentenced to 6 years in prison. He was found guilty of importation of more than 1,300 kilograms of cocaine, which was valued at an estimated 75 million. And before we even go into that, guys, it says that the reason how they found him is that the court said phone tapping showed Promes has been directly involved with the shipment of the drugs hidden in shipments of salt from Brazil and further transport from the port. So it seems as though as much as they have, tapped his telephone, I think he's been doing this and he was actually good at it. In another Dutch case, and we're talking about the same guy, he was last year sentenced in absentia to 18 months in jail for assaulting, an assault rather. And this was when he stabbed his brother or his cousin in the knee.
They were probably
So he's a fugitive right now.
He's a bad boy.
They were probably fighting for the yams.
Yeah.
So
Ronaldo Pablo in football, eh?
But where did Pablo hide his money?
In football.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Why do you think football lines are white?
Hey,
Never mind.
What shirt you wearing today, Len
What's
Moleko?
going on?
You seem to know a lot about this powder.
What's going
Hey?
on?
Hey, Maradona. Thank you, darling. Quincy Promes, he was a very promising player. He was linked to several clubs. In his playing career, I remember him chopping and changing clubs. He was always somewhere for a year or two.
Yeah.
Problematic character in football as well.
Yep. Yeah.
Would move on. A lot of promise as a footballer. Clearly very good as a drug dealer as well, but now he's been nabbed.
I think he excelled in drug dealing more than in football.
Yeah.
He found his
He
talent.
did.
And last week we said football, it will kill you.
Guys,
Drugs as
literally,
well.
but I mean, I feel like we have a lot of delinquency in
Where?
the football space.
Oh.
Like these guys are doing crazy things. And I think just because we watch them obviously on football and we view them as heroes, it's actually more disappointing, to see them get up to the stuff that they actually do.
If you have...
Is European football not enough money?
So
I don't think it's about money.
No, wait.
Mara friend, did you see the... Hey.
There's a phrase in Afrikaans. It says, "Honor dry the devil rond." If you look,
Undercover the devil.
if you've
is
got
around.
if you've got as much money as footballers get, and you only go to practice 3-4 hours in a day, what you do with your time?
Idle hands.
What you do with your time after practice, and you're not gaming, or you're not at a game, or you're not in camp, or whatever.
What are you saying about Jadon Sancho?
Hey man,
Jacinto is working now. He was
he's
playing
got a
PS.
job now.
He was
He's
playing
working
PS.
now.
Leave
He's
him.
working.
He's playing PlayStation
He
till
was
3 in the
playing
morning,
PS,
but it's
guys.
fine in Germany.
Look, those things will save you from a lot
Is
of
that
things.
why Coach Peter would make them watch matches until?
I think that's more, well, one, that, two, it's helping you build yourself kind of vibes. Whether you do it or you don't.
It's developmental.
it will help you become the footballer that you want to be in future. I mean, you've got, I'll just make example. I don't know in this country. I know overseas, the likes of yours, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, was a big fan of, what's this shooting game?
Call of Duty.
Call of Duty, along with Mesut Ozil as well. So if they're not
I love that
playing
game.
football, they playing Call of Duty, or they are like
Many of them.
going to fashion shows. Oh no, that's Marcus Rashford.
Drinking in nightclubs.
Yes.
That's
so
amazing.
what you
No,
do during your spare time as a footballer will literally determine how far you go.
Your point.
No, definitely.
Agreed. And when we spoke to Coach Gavin Hunt, he alluded to this, and he wanted his players to spend time with their families, do extracurricular physical activity of some sort with personal trainers, etc., and get a good night's sleep. And
Even Sir Alex Ferguson, he was a strong believer that you need to be family oriented to make it in his club.
Absolutely, and a lot of discipline in those teams, and the success translated for itself.
And something interesting, Marco, before we move, interesting question or statement from
We haven't even
MJ.
gone to the comments.
We've been reading the comments.
Me.
What do you
I'm
mean?
talking about myself, right?
Oh, MJ saying it's funny how Red Bull makes time to buy and build all these sports teams, but they don't make time to actually make Red Bull. Funny enough, they actually want to be known as a sports brand
Yes.
more than they want to be known as an energy drink brand.
Yes, of
So,
course, and that's what they
yeah.
advertise. It
Kira,
means
now
marketing
we're using
101.
it to dash in this country.
And that's why you guys are
Astonishing.
flying La Pap.
No, she knows. She's the biggest dasher of them all.
Yeah, I don't want to move too far
So
away
you're
from
acting my
football
shit
to
neat,
talk
okay?
about the Red Bull story, but
Yes.
there's a marketing analysis that I read a short time ago, and Red Bull, in terms of themselves, they self-designate as a media company that monetizes through beverages rather than a beverage company that utilizes media. And they got into extreme sports long before they got into Formula One and before they got into football, etc. And that was part of their business strategy. They're a media company first, and they monetize media through the beverages.
Marketing 101.
So they make energy drinks as a side hustle.
Well, that's how they make. It's how they make the money. It's like making a good football show and monetizing it through YouTube. The football show is the main thing. YouTube's how you make the money.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Thank you, darling. That was Around the World with Tepe Worldwide, brought to you by Betway, where you get way more. Let's jet off to the UK quickly. English Premier League. The least happy person in this room is Mr. Super Sub. But in saying that, is it the worst draw in the world?
It's not, I think. And I always say this, Chelsea, when they go play this sort of like top 6 team, they always bring their A game. They blow hot and cold. And I think they came on for City on Saturday. And I mean, it's if you are a football fan and you are a neutral in the top 3 in terms of supporting maybe Liverpool, Arsenal, and Manchester City, you are in for a treat. That draw just further opens up the league. It's not sealed, and usually by this time of the season, there's a runaway team. And it's not the case this time around, and it's good for football. It's not the worst draw. Look, obviously as a City fan, I'm disappointed, but as a football fan, this is good for football.
I agree. I think it just underscores just how competitive football is right now. And it really does keep the spectator entertained. So one slip up really can be detrimental to you. So I love what's happening right now. And Len Moleko is crossing fingers. What's up?
Well,
No, because the bees are being
Brentford.
now.
I mean, yeah, if City continue to
excuse me.
drop points, I mean, how good is Phil Foden? That's the one thing I'd like to get to. Phil Foden is an underrated player, in my opinion, and he's a top player.
He's come of age. There were times when he would come in pockets, and I remember me and Super Sub were very critical of Phil Foden in a number of games that we watched. He would actually, frustrate him more than me. But I would get frustrated.
More than anything, what used to frustrate me the most is like his physicality. He will just fall all over. But anyway.
But he's come of age.
No,
his vision,
the
the chemistry that he has with Kevin De Bruyne and how they find each other with
he
passes.
is a beast.
It's just a marvel to watch. And I was actually rather disappointed because I thought City was actually going to almost replicate the form they had against Copenhagen in the Champions League last week. I thought they were going to go to town with Chelsea. I genuinely did.
But this
Chelsea
is the Premier League.
Tricky
They're a
club to
confused
play.
molecule.
Look, not that Brentford isn't, and that game remains at 0-0 for now. Let's move on from Manchester City, and as phenomenal as they've been, there are 3 horses in this title race. One of them is Liverpool, who are suffering, and one of them is striped, the zebras. But obviously, Liverpool now suffering a great deal of injuries, which will be a concern for them. And we saw how Manchester United suffered early in the season, and how perhaps not a turnaround in real quality in their fixtures. I don't think Man United have been playing exceptionally well, but their form in recent weeks, purely on the form guide in terms of results, points in recent weeks, etc., has been a direct translation or a direct, the direct attributor to Manchester United's turnaround in form has been a return from injury for a large sum of the squad. So Manchester United naming the same centre-back pairing for 2 games in a row for the first time in the season. Things like that equate to results. We see it.
4 goals. Is it 4 games in a row that Rasmus scored?
It's more.
Six.
Six
Yeah,
games in a row.
that's
Sorry.
So we'll get to that, but I think that's a concern for Liverpool, especially when you look at City, a perceived drop in form in a way. Liverpool suffering injuries. Arsenal, the other side of the equation, 21 goals in their last 5 fixtures. 21 goals in 5 fixtures.
They're running
My,
rampant.
oh my. How good are Arsenal at the moment?
I mean, if we look at the form that, if we just like look at these 3 clubs and just look at the form, Arsenal are clear favourites.
Yeah, I mean, in these last 5 fixtures, obviously big wins against Burnley, West Ham, and now against Crystal Palace. But 2 closer fixtures against Liverpool, which was obviously the big win in these last 5.
Yeah.
And another one against Nottingham Forest. Len, you zipping your lips. You don't want to jinx yourself
He
too
doesn't want
early.
to jinx himself.
You know what they say about a bed that sings too loud and it's sitting on top of the tree?
That
Swallows.
belt is Arsenal.
It's asking for a stone. So I'm going to keep quiet.
Yeah, well, you will keep quiet, but we
No,
know.
but on the real, I digress. Top 10, if we look at the top half of the log, only Man United, Man City, and Manchester United. No, Man United,
Arsenal.
and the Manchester clubs are confusing me. City, United, Arsenal, only teams to have not lost in their previous 5 games. And Man United, like Marco was alluding to, it's having their players. It's as if like Erik ten Hag has made new signings. It's as if like this almost break that was just had, it helped them
It really
almost like get their season back in order, because now they're within touching distance of getting into a Champions League position.
Yeah, definitely.
The ones
And
that
also
were-
Tottenham is not really doing so well. They're not like
Yeah.
consistent, you know.
yeah,
Yeah,
they-
look, but if we look at just the title race, and we've seen a dip in form for Aston Villa that has now taken them out the title race. I don't think Spurs, we were overly thinking that they could be pushing for a title at really any point, but we still impressed with Spurs and where they
I
stand.
mean, they started well.
Angie Ball,
Angie Ball.
And but you were saying that the only teams to have not lost in their last 5 fixtures were Manchester City, Manchester United, and Arsenal.
And Arsenal,
Liverpool's form has been excellent, bar that one Arsenal defeat. They beat Chelsea 4-1, a feat that Manchester City couldn't achieve. They beat Bournemouth 4-0, beat Burnley 3-1, and beat Brentford 4-1. They're scoring goals, but that single defeat to Arsenal affects the form guide. But I think that the only concern for Liverpool and their fans right now at the moment is the growing injury list.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
definitely. But
And it's
however,
key players though, eh?
it does look, for some odd reason, with all those injuries, Liverpool just managed to grind results, you know. And I think it's the system that Klopp has there, you know. Whoever comes in there, you know, they just know what they need to do. And that train is just moving, you know. You climb off, the next guy climbs in, the train keeps on moving.
Yeah, and that's nice. But also, I mean, for the players that are fringe players, it's a great opportunity for them to also come in there and prove themselves, because we're talking about serious guys that are also not in right now, you know, and the list keeps on getting, you know, longer and longer by the day. So,
I did say, wait,
I
that's
mean,
on.
Gakpo has
Gakpo.
not played in a while. You know,
Szoboszlai, who has been fantastic.
Szoboszlai is still out.
So Szoboszlai is the
Alexander.
You know, Luis Diaz is there. Like, you can, when it comes to attack, they still have okay.
Do you think? I'm just gonna throw this to you guys, and I'm gonna throw it out to the ballers as well. We're looking
Yeah.
at the title charge, right? Liverpool play Man City on the 10th of March. That's about.
Oh, Nunes is out. Sorry, guys.
That's 2 weeks from now.
Liverpool plays.
Man City on the 10th of
yes.
March.
Yeah.
Man City play Arsenal on the 31st of March.
March is the decider.
That's what I'm asking. Do you think come end of March we will have a clearer picture of, and mind you, Liverpool is still in 2 competitions, right? The EFL.
The other one is just a final, though.
Yeah, final, and then still in the FA Cup as well.
Yes.
And they in Europa League.
And 3 Europa League.
Arsenal's
Hey,
also
with
in
the-
Champions League. Manchester City's also in Champions League.
FA.
This is a lot of what's
Arsenal's out of FA though, right?
No, Arsenal is
Yeah,
no,
you guys
Arsenal is
were
out of
out.
FA.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if you look at the or what's on the plate thereof of the title contenders as it stands now on paper, Liverpool have it more to do, and they almost, I want to say, have got the thinnest squad because of all the injuries that they're going through.
No, definitely. I don't know as to what point it's going to catch up with them, but it looks like they're grinding results, and also some of the players will be starting to return, you know.
so.
But don't you also question just, what type of tech, rehab, what measures are they taking, and preventative measures as well? Because you cannot keep on having your top players getting into injuries.
We've
that
seen
way.
this with Jurgen Klopp since the start of his
Yeah.
time in the
So
Premier
why-
League.
he
Rock and roll
overruns his
football.
players.
How do you remedy this?
Yeah,
You
rock and
see-
roll
Rock and
football is
roll
going to
football.
have injury casualties.
Friend,
That's
please
the
open a beer
thing.
for me.
The one thing I want to close off the title race discussion with
I don't
this,
have an opener.
because I can't compliment Arsenal enough in terms of the quality that they've been
Yeah, they've
showing,
been
and
excellent.
they've been excellent.
No, they've been terrific.
But the
Finally.
one thing,
Remember the past couple of weeks when they were still like this.
No, you need to
December-
step in and
He was like,
embrace it.
whatever,
They've-
I'm not
December
even
we saw a
watching.
very different Len Moleko,
Exactly. He's like,
and
I'm
now
not even watching. What happened? What
Yeah, because I was
happened?
not getting Christmas presents, okay?
Wow.
Now I got a Valentine's present.
No
a lot
way.
of them.
You got a cake?
21 of them.
Yes.
A cake.
No, flowers. 21 of them.
Oh, beautiful, my friend. From who?
From Saka,
From
Odegaard, Havertz. Yeah. Geez, also
Another
players
boy,
that have,
right?
just to add on to the Arsenal conversation, I'm seeing a different Havertz. I'm seeing a different, Saka has always been good. And I'm seeing a different Lisandro Trossard. It's
Trossard
as if-
is really coming of age. If
Right?
that's the
different?
term, eh?
Trossard is a top player.
And it's as if like everybody is now grinding and they like, okay, cool. If Saka is not going to deliver or Odegaard is not going to deliver,
I've got
Coach, I'm here. I'm going to do it as well. And Declan Rice, oh my gosh.
Guys,
Yeah, he
is
was-
this not also just...
He is what we hoped Kevin Phillips would have been for City.
If he didn't go fat,
And what
I'm sorry.
West-
No, and big
And
up
West Ham
to
fans
Pep,
hoped
to
he's
come
for
out
West Ham.
and, I mean, he did realize that whatever he said to Kevin Phillips, it didn't sit well with him, and he sort of like offended the guy. And
Harry, you are fat.
big up to him to say, you know what, I am sorry. I mean, like in the words of the greatest Desmond Tutu, the biggest words that are difficult to say is I'm sorry.
Yeah, it takes a lot of
It takes a lot.
football balls.
Um,
I'm just saying very, very quickly,
We've got
guys.
2.
Is it whatever? Is it also not
You've got 2?
coincidental, or is it just how it happens? That obviously the season started last year, August.
Yes.
August. But it seems as though, come December, there was a bit of a rejuvenation or just like a restart. And that restart is starting to now show itself now, because, I mean, we're seeing the likes of a player who played 14 matches and now is literally like scored 6 goals consecutively. We're seeing Arsenal really excelling, Man City and the like. So is it coincidental that it just so happens that at a certain time of the year, then the teams start to really have, all their ducks in a row?
I think
We see it every season.
I think for Arsenal, there was something, Salt Bay, big ups to Salt Bay. Yeah, you really came through for us. The time out in Dubai, I think it really helped them.
Interesting.
I don't know if the Man United, I think what might have been a change in fortunes and a change in approach was the announcement of Sir Jim
Ratchford.
actually coming
Ratcliffe,
through.
sorry.
A new broom,
Yeah.
sweeps clean
No.
kind of vibes.
Yeah, okay.
One could argue with Liverpool, yes, they'll keep pushing. So they're almost like sitting on a fence whereby it's, do you get dejected because Klopp is leaving, or do you do it for him and give him one last tango before
One
he
last
goes out?
applause, yeah.
So Len, you're ruining my final point on this title race that I've been trying to close on, and that was that
snap.
the
I'm
Premier
sorry, it's
League.
me,
No,
friend.
it's quite all right. But that is the one thing I'll say about this, and it's
so-
away from football terms. No, it's all right.
I'm sorry. 'cause
But
it's-
away from the real football terms of things, the Premier League every year seems to have some sort of romance. Last season was a treble.
Yeah.
Leicester City was romantic. There's always some sort of romance connected to a season, to a champion in a season. And there's just such a romantic thing about Jurgen Klopp leaving on a title. And it just feels like that might get Liverpool over the edge.
Wenger did not live with one.
Wenger didn't live with many.
Guys, and speaking of people,
In his last few seasons. But Gift Real G saying Manchester City to retain their title. Londwan Kobo saying the problem is Luton Town, Sheffield United. All those teams fighting relegation will hurt some of the top 4 teams. That's also a possibility.
But they've been,
But that's Premier League.
the top 4 teams. No. The difference now is the top 4 teams have been very decisive in how they deal with the bottom, like those strugglers, the Lutons and the Burnleys. Like what?
Yeah, they're getting trapped.
Like
Yeah,
what
but
Arsenal did,
trap,
like what
like, it's
Arsenal
not a
did to
joke.
Burnley. At some point, I really felt bad for Burnley. On some like, when is your luck going to change?
yeah, and you're like, do you need company? Okay.
Touche.
So moving to the rest.
Guys, very, very quickly, may
Yeah.
I just say this in conclusion? Roy, can we say goodbye to him?
Roy Mahamudu.
Roy Hodgson.
Yeah.
Oh, Roy Hodgson. sorry.
Yeah. Big ups to Roy Hodgson.
was
It's
the last
probably
one
the
left,
last. Is probably the last managerial job of his career. He
Yeah.
was getting ill. I think it's been too much for him to be a manager in that league.
Guys,
for as long
you
as
know
he
his
was.
It's
managerial
a high
career.
intensity game.
Yeah.
Stress.
It
The
requires
stress.
a lot of
Yeah.
emotional handling, and at some point in your life, you have to let go because your
Yes.
heart cannot take it. You could just see the man looks so dejected.
He's not young either. Guys, his managerial career started in 1976.
Yeah,
When freedom
it's-
was coming tomorrow, he was starting his managerial career.
Do you know either he used to
I was
play,
not even a concept.
either he used to play or he was managing a team that
No,
was
he
based in
played
Joburg
first.
for
And
Berea
then
Park.
yeah.
That
You know, Roy
story-
used to play or
Is it?
manage in South Africa a team called
You
Berea
mentioned
Park.
Oh,
that story
nice. I'm in
before.
Joburg.
Yes, I have. I'm a
Okay, let me
historian.
see, friend. I have his whole history here.
Yeah, bring it up.
Let me see if
In
I
the
have...
comments, while you look for that, darling,
babes.
we've got Londwa and Kobo, saying, can you talk about Newcastle having problems with FFP as they slip down the table as well? Newcastle, again, injuries have
Their
killed
problems
Newcastle.
are way beyond FFP. Callum Wilson
Friend,
out
there's no,
for the
there's
season
no barrier
actually.
here.
Yeah,
Berea
so
Park, yes.
Friend, there's no barrier.
if
It is
Newcastle...
Selhurst Park.
If Newcastle were to be docked 10 points, much like Everton were earlier this season, and obviously more talks of Everton perhaps suffering more FFP punishment, if Newcastle were to be docked the 10 points, they will be only just ahead of Brentford in 14th place. So they will be sitting 13th behind Bournemouth, Fulham, Wolves, and Chelsea. Which would be hard on Newcastle because we saw them start the season really well, suffer with injuries. So if there is an FFP charge that faces Newcastle, I'm not sure if we'll see it right away. It might be a problem for next season, something along those lines. But it'll be interesting. And as they continue to fall, I don't think that Newcastle will ever be in threat of relegation.
No.
But definitely a team that if those injuries start to recover, if they start to return some players, they can still make a push for one of the European places, especially with, as we expect, top 5 to be good enough for Champions League football at the end of the season with the extended format of Champions League.
You know,
so it's no longer a battle for top 4, it's a battle for top 5 for the Champions League places, which means other European places open up further down the log. And Newcastle, once those injured players return, I think they will be pushing for one of the European positions, like a European Conference, Europa League, something along those lines.
you can't always be depending on Matt Ritchie to win you games. More so, I think, geez, it's been a while since Matt Ritchie started a game. And now because, what's his face? The Newcastle manager, Eddie Howe. Because he's short on options. Then here's a guy who was dejected, sitting on the bench, never getting game time, and suddenly he's a starter. And all your key players, the likes of your Callum Wilsons, are gone. So the charge, the Newcastle that we were like, wow, okay, cool. They dancing properly.
Yeah.
Going to Saudi Arabia was not an easy trip. All right. But now teams are like, they're finding their swag against Newcastle because of all the injuries that they have. And then it begs, come end of the season, well, we know somebody went on a gardening leave, but we're not gonna get to that. Come end of the season, do you blame? Yeah, we did not bolster the squad enough, or we didn't go to Saudi Arabia and get more players, or do you blame Eddie Howe and say, nah, Doug, with everything that was at your disposal, you failed to actually
You had
get
one
us.
job, yeah.
I think we see it all the time. A team that's not expected to finish in a Champions League position, finishes in a European or Champions League position, has those extra games to contend with, begin to struggle. And we see it year in, year out. Newcastle weren't expected to be in the Champions League last season. They don't have the facilities to upgrade the squad sufficiently to compete in European competition, suffer injuries, and then struggle the following season. But what are Newcastle expected to do? Finish in the top 10, really, realistically, and try compete.
With the new investment,
but with the new investment that they can't spend because of FFP.
I suppose.
It has to be a slowish
They didn't
process.
really spend that much.
They didn't spend much. So that's the thing, is that
They've done
not
relatively
able
well.
They've done relatively well. And I think that you have to commend Eddie Howe on the job he's done, because you can see it in the football. And the position in the league right now is not a reflection on how good Eddie Howe has made that Newcastle side with the facilities. And
let's be fair, injuries are unpredictable.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to Manchester United briefly before we go into the weekend.
Do we really have to?
They won.
It's Manchester United.
Unbeaten in 2020.
No, I'm joking, my friend.
2024, right?
Unbeaten. We spoke a lot
I
about.
don't understand what year it is. Like, why are you being weird?
No, AFCON messed me over.
You're just being weird.
No.
Marco.
Like, for real. AFCON messed me over because
Everything's
I made
2023.
Sure, yes, I made sure that I use the right naming convention, that it's AFCON 2023.
and not
so in my
24.
head,
Really?
yeah.
I got that
I
wrong
believe you.
all the way through the tournament.
I know,
but
but
it's
even in the
boding
videos,
well,
or like
even
whatever.
in videos, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's boded well for me now because I know what year it is right now. Okay, Manchester United, Rasmus Højlund, a player that I was singing the praises for when he joined Manchester United. I liked how direct he was. I like that he's the player that gets into the 6-yard box. Manchester United players weren't supplying him with enough chances to really get in the goals. And now that the style of play has been more direct in that way, he's bagging goals left and right. 8 in the last 8 games, 6 goals in 6 fixtures, the youngest player to ever achieve that in the Premier League. Rasmus Højlund flying now that he's getting this type of supply. And Manchester United have not had a number 9 in that style in a very long time.
You know what I think has been, for me, I think what has been the cog in the machine for Man United has been, and he's still young. I feel he's still young for him to have, yes, he looks like he's matured, but for him to have that level of responsibility. Manu.
Kobe Mainu.
Yes,
Manu.
Kobe.
Oh, what a player.
What a player.
And I just feel in usage of him, if Casemiro avoids as many yellow cards and red cards as
He's
possible.
unlucky,
And
that's
blue
why.
cards.
And he was lucky. He was
Yeah.
lucky this past weekend.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
He was very unlucky
He's
the
always
previous
unlucky,
weekend,
yeah.
but he was lucky this past weekend.
Yeah,
this
he
past-
was.
If he stays on and almost becomes a, I don't know what you call a person who teaches
Mentor.
a mentor. There we go. And
For Kobe Mainu, are there many better midfielders to learn from in that position? I don't
Not
think
in
there's
that
many.
position right now in the world.
No,
More than
not many.
Casemiro.
yes.
Rodri.
Well, he hasn't won 4 Champions League.
Yeah,
Oh,
true.
shit.
Okay, Luka Modric.
Not really the same position.
Yeah,
but
but like
But
around
more
yes, yes,
forward,
yes.
you know.
Yeah, but there's not many. There's
That's what
not
I
many.
mean.
Yeah, so
He's in the right hands. That's what I'm trying
he's
to
in
say.
the right hands.
And
Absolutely.
Haaland, I'm saying Haaland in the 18 area.
So with that,
Benny's
And
there.
he's in
G.
great company, guys. May I just mention something? And I'm not sure if you know this. Some you probably do, but he's in great company as much as he is the youngest. But we've had 3 more Man U players who were able to also accomplish this feat of 6 goals in 6 matches. Ronaldo was one of them.
Eric
I
Cantona.
believe, yes, who's an actor now. Yes,
He was filthy, that man.
Yeah, I mean,
There's a
there's
goal.
one that goal that
But
day.
before his
a Hall
era.
of Famer, actually.
Yeah, goal.
Yes.
Where he literally floors everybody. Have you seen the goal?
Even the goalkeeper.
Floors. I mean, he floors every. You know, there's a line to this day. It was a Nike ad, because I think he was sponsored by. They say 66 was a great year for English football.
Yeah.
It's the year Eric was born.
Oh,
Yeah.
Eric. Because he's French. And the
okay,
last
Patrick
person,
Vieira.
guys, the PSV coach also
owner
was
of number 7.
was the last person to also do that. So he is the youngest, but the PSV coach, wait, I'll tell you now. Van Nistelrooy.
Oh, Ruud van Nistelrooy.
Yes, Luc van Nistelrooy
Was
also
he that
did
young?
that. He did that. No, he was not
No,
young,
but he
under
scored
Man
6 in
U.
6. Yeah.
He scored 6 because the top 5 is
Yeah, his
Henry.
doesn't matter. He
It's
was
Henry,
a goal
it's,
poacher.
Are we
Henry,
going there?
It's
Joe Willock in Newcastle,
Willock,
which we can...
yes.
Come on.
It's
No, we're
my
not going
favorite
there,
Lukaku.
Yeah.
It is Henry. What did I say? Henry.
Henry, yeah,
Or
yeah.
Haaland, and then the youngest now is our
What's
boy.
going on with Haaland?
He just came
He's
back
going
from
through a
injury.
dip,
No,
Shem.
it's not even a dip. He's coming back from an injury.
I was
okay.
asking.
Hey, you get
No,
emotional.
Hey, that was
let's
quick,
be
eh?
fair.
I'm
'Cause-
sorry, bro.
No, it's not even that. I'm
Yup.
saying like he's still top. He's still a top goal scorer. How many games was he out of?
I think Højlund and Haaland is too closely pronounced. He's taken his powers
sounds-
for a little.
Nah, never.
No, you're right. He was
But there
injured.
was a funny joke when they said Haaland eventually joined. What is the group? Yawo Nunes, the missing group.
Yeah.
Is he part of that?
Well, that's
That's
the joke.
the
on
joke.
Twitter.
Okay, let's look at the fixtures before we close up on Premier League because there is Champions League action on and we're running out of time. Liverpool against Luton Town. Liverpool at home at Anfield. Luton
win.
very strong at home because it feels like action soccer on that little pitch. I feel like I'm at Discovery Park
Soccer
watching
park.
when you're watching Luton Town. But Liverpool, no problem against Luton at Anfield on
Easy,
Wednesday night or
easy.
tomorrow night
No,
rather.
definitely.
I agree. I think put money on goals in that one because Luton also have some goals in them.
I say
And
2.5.
I'm a big fan of Ross Barkley and how he's playing for Luton.
Over 2.5.
Over 2.5 for sure, depending what the odds are. Aston Villa versus Nottingham Forest. Villa at home. Villa blowing
Villa even
blowing
look-
cold at the moment. Good
having a
evening
good
to you
evening.
all. Yeah. But I do fancy Aston Villa at home to Nottingham Forest. Brighton coming back into form ever so slightly. I fancy them against Everton. Crystal Palace against Burnley. The two teams that
It
you
could be a draw.
can't buy a win or
Yeah, it
a
could be a
for
draw.
But
love
new
or
broom,
money.
new broom. Oliver is in. New broom.
Yeah,
because
maybe.
he was. Look, you could
Monday night
sense-
doesn't count.
No, granted, but you could sense that there's some level of impression that you want to do for a new manager coming in.
Forgive, yeah.
And he was on the stands for the game against Everton.
Yes.
Just after the announcement.
And no, just after Roy left.
Yes, the
and,
announcement
and
and
then
everything,
Oliver
yeah.
came through.
Yeah.
He went to the game. They took the lead. You almost thought like, okay, cool. Palace, new broom, coach gone.
Sweep.
They want to
Yeah, but it's
impress.
hard against Sean Dykes.
Yeah, I know, but like, so it'll be very interesting to see how their fortunes change.
That would be
Yeah, but it's a bit premature. That's what I think.
And to be fair, with Frankfurt, Oliver did some decent work.
No, I think it's going to be an interesting acquisition. Crystal Palace, I think, are a side with some real quality in the playing staff.
Is he?
Yeah, big fan of his, and I think that Burnley. I feel for Burnley. I don't see much coming for them, and I think
Ben.
they
Yeah, and it's
they
just
my
a matter of
favourites-
time.
They're
before
my
they pull the
favourites to
plug
join Sheffield
on our
United
friend.
down in the Championship next season.
And I just feel Burnley
Straight
will
back down.
I'm sorry. I think Vincent Company looks like a pretty cool guy.
Yeah,
maybe
he
me
is.
and him, we could have a pint,
You can have
laugh.
a beer, yeah.
You know, we could go meet my cheating girlfriend there in Pretoria.
You know what I mean?
But he can't. I wouldn't take him to.
not giving.
Yeah, no, man.
It's not giving.
It's like he's one. I don't even want to say one direction because he doesn't have a plan B.
Yeah, no,
And
look,
and you know what hurts me the most is that I so want to believe in him because he does come across as such a nice person.
he did well in the
And
the
yeah,
championship.
of
championship,
course.
you know.
But it's a
and
very different thing.
unfortunately, the
different,
Premier
Fred.
League is just a different
It's a
ball
monster.
game, you know.
Do you
and
feel-
Did he booster his squad enough? Did he have the funds?
He
You
did not
know,
bolster.
did they just thought, you know what, he's gonna bring up those players and they're gonna run and compete in the Premier League?
It's like being a girl, ne friend. You coming from
Will.
like Koma Hayeng, ne, Kopampirstad. And then you come to Senton, you go to Taboo straight.
Yeah,
You go straight to Taboo. When you left home, you look nice, my friend. You are wearing your All Stars, you go to Taboo and you're like, dang.
You'll see.
No,
understand?
man. I think it's pretty much. I hear what you're saying, but nothing makeup can't fix. It's
But there's a lot, friend. There are teachings. There's how to sit.
You know what, Marco, we're staying out of these, eh?
They're saying I only drink champagne, darling. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I'll give you
context-wise.
Listen, I'm saying, is it not the curse of Premier League legends almost wanting that, or us expecting them to have the legendary status even as managers?
But we spoke about this, Len.
I think that if you
because a lot of them have failed.
If you're calling
We've
Vincent
spoken
Kompany,
about
Frank
this.
Lampard, or Steven Gerrard, I like what you're saying just because it's fun.
John
but the
Terry,
reality is,
we can argue,
the
even though
reality
he
is that
assisted.
Burnley went wrong when they got rid of Sean Dykes. They were on a downward spiral, but they're a team that's probably too good for the Championship, but not good enough for the Premier League. And, if Kompany is replaced by somebody else, fortunes may change. There is quality in the squad. But I don't
speaking of
imagine it'll
someone-
change it enough.
Very, very quickly, guys. Speaking of someone, and then Utuchel, have you spoken about him when I went to the loo? Is he losing his job, guys?
We don't know. Oh, and interestingly enough, I read that your former manager might actually be, or is being looked at by Bayern.
Exactly.
As an interim manager
That's what I
But
heard.
we'll
He
get there, guys. We're on the
he
Premier
looks
League.
Oh, sorry, friend.
He looks like a good interim manager.
And he
I
looks
don't
like
think-
and
Short term,
actually,
he's
I
a
hear
good
that.
guy. Long term, I'm not too
Okay,
sure.
sorry, Marco.
He wouldn't be a long-term replacement at Bayern Munich. Let's move on from the Crystal Palace Burnley fixture. Manchester United take on Fulham at home on Saturday.
Fulham blow hot and cold. I don't trust them. I'll give Man United the win just
Yeah,
because they
sure.
are on the momentum that they're moving
And
on.
The odds on that fixture are 1.56 in favour for Manchester United, and if you want to punt, 5.4 for Fulham to win that fixture.
Interesting.
I think Manchester United at home at Old Trafford.
No, definitely.
In the form, the confidence is there. I think that they should edge that one, but I don't expect a big win in that one.
I'll go straight win. I'm not even going to go overs on that one.
Yeah. Bournemouth versus Manchester City. I'll leave that one to you, Super Sub.
Super Sub, what are your thoughts?
There's nothing there.
Is it a 1-1 draw, my friend?
It's still 0-0 now against Brentford.
Even now.
Rodri will come through for us.
No, I agree. Rodri is a top player. I think Manchester City have the number of a team like Bournemouth, even away.
And I
This
don't
is the
think they
Premier
can
League.
afford to
Anything
slip up
can
right now.
happen.
There's no one who
And
can afford to slip up right
Yeah.
now. This is the critical time of the league.
Steven Gerrard is not needed right now.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And the odds favour Manchester City in that fixture at 1.43 to Bournemouth 6.4, which is even greater odds than Manchester United at
I would
home
actually
to Fulham.
If you've got money to lose, go bet on Bournemouth.
just say.
But
you don't know.
imagine how crazy betting on Bournemouth and then they win.
No, Bournemouth and
Well,
Fulham.
you'll get
and
your
both
money
of
You
them
know what I
win.
mean?
Yeah.
Crazy things have happened in the
happen.
past. guys.
Definitely.
And then the fixture of the weekend, we were talking about Newcastle's downfall. They now have to travel to the toughest place to travel to in the Premier League at the moment, the Emirates, Arsenal. You have
The
to
thing
go
with-
for big numbers there. Newcastle haven't defended especially well. They're dangerous on the counter-attack. But
With their injuries as
With the
well, I
injuries
don't
as
see
well.
them coming out of Emirates with anything.
3.5 over.
so looking at those odds, Arsenal at 1.37 on the odds, that's a fixture that I would be looking at overs and unders because it's already better odds at over 2.5. But I think over 3.5 at 2.12 is a very good return because how do you not expect 4 goals or more?
From a team that's been scoring
Considering
4
they've
goals.
been
Yeah.
scoring on
So not
average,
necessarily
yeah.
just Arsenal scoring those goals. I mean, a 3-1 win puts you at over 3.5. So that's a punt that I'd really fancy. Closing off the weekend of fixtures, Wolves versus Sheffield United on Sunday.
Wolves.
The Wolves.
The Sheffield United popped
the
up
Wolves.
with a solitary win in recent weeks, where they in their previous fixtures against Wolves, they've lost their last 2 and won 1. But if you look at Sheffield United themselves directly, come on.
Things not really looking good for them.
No,
Fair.
really not
Fair.
looking good for them. I think there was the one blip there where they've lost 5-1 to Brighton recently, but they had that 3-1 win against Luton in recent weeks that made things look like, wow,
I remember that.
traveling to Luton, getting a 3-1 win where none of us expected that one. But they've been on the back of heavy losses to Brighton and Aston Villa. They seem to implode when they're not doing well. They've lost to Crystal Palace and drew to West Ham earlier in January, and we've seen what sort of side West Ham has been since the turn of the new year. So I think that Sheffield United going to struggle in that one. I fancy Wolves at home. And the team that we're talking about now having a bad return to the season, West Ham, Monday evening against Brentford. They're at home.
Something's got to give for David Moyes.
Yeah, something has to change.
Something's got to give.
That dip is lasting longer than I thought it would.
Yeah, something's got to give. Because if you look at West Ham, they've only managed to get 2 points out of a possible 15 in the previous.
It's poor.
I mean, I believe fans are starting to call for his head.
Yes.
It's poor.
Okay, so bookies, underdogs, full UEFA Champions League. And if you do want to have a punt on the round of 16 fixtures, great promotion currently from Betway.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, really great promotion. If you place any bet on the UEFA Champions League round of 16 matches, you'll go into a draw, any bet. You go into a draw to win one of 200 750 Rand sport bonuses every game week.
Oh, nice.
So that's 750 Rand bonus for 200 different players who are placing bets on the round of 16. Really great promotion. And once again, it says place any bet. And then there's also up to 50,000 Rand in cash prizes after both legs of the round of 16. So even the second round of 16 fixtures that are coming up later, you will get your chance to grab 50,000 Rand in cash prizes.
So you've got this today and tomorrow, and you still have next week.
Yeah.
Because next week is the return leg.
Yes.
So, but next week, Wednesday, Thursday. And that
other week
Tuesday,
for
Wednesday.
these ones,
Yeah, please don't say
No.
Thursday.
These ones, the ones are playing this week. Their return legs are next week.
The week of.
The week
The week after.
The week
Because
after, are
next
they
week
not?
it's your City, Copenhagen.
It's Champions
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so
That's a
and
dope promo, though.
looking really cool promo. Looking
It
at the
is.
games now, Atletico Madrid versus Inter, which is my pick of the round of 16 fixtures in general. I like them. They're two good sides. Still 0-0. Obviously, hard to go score goals in Serie A, and Atletico Madrid don't really chase them in the biggest way in the world, especially with the big injury that they've suffered recently. But Borussia Dortmund rather have taken a lead over in the Netherlands against PSV. And Eindhoven were favourites in this match. So, and I looked at this fixture before, looked at the odds, and I thought, Borussia Dortmund over in PSV, or you really going to go with the odds on that one? I think that you fancied your money on that one.
Perhaps Hala is in the mood. I mean, he's a World Cup. No, he's a AFCON winner after all.
If you're looking to place bets on these fixtures right now, I would like to just check the lives. If you're looking to place bets on those fixtures right now, Borussia Dortmund now 1.85 to win this game, carrying a 1-0 lead. So really good odds on that one.
You know, I didn't know that you can actually place a bet while the match is.
Oh, yeah, you can.
I did not know that.
You can even cash out when you see it's rough. It's rough.
That saved me a
Crazy.
couple of times.
Close the windows.
But
Comrade.
that brings us to a close for
Before we close,
tonight's
Ballers, by
proceedings.
the way, we do have, please follow us on all our social media platforms.
Yes.
Facebook, Twitter, X, IG, Instagram. We are also on TikTok. So please do follow us, because what we're going to start doing is that if we have a competition like we always do, we will firstly consider the people that follow us and interact with us on our social media platforms. Nazo?
And don't
Onside
forget to
ZA.
follow me on Instagram.
Please follow Super Sub on Instagram. It's Super
I
Sub
finally have a handle.
Onside ZA.
Allah, siyabongela. But yeah, man. Big ups to all the guys who tweet us and
everyone, we love
and
you
everybody
guys.
that converses with us and whatever. Big ups, one love, man.
And please do, I really do appreciate, people that go to our Twitter or Instagram or whatever and give us suggestions, because remember that the show is not only about us. We really like to hear what you have to say, what you'd like to see, what you'd like to speak about, just so that we can accommodate you, because we are a family here. It's just like you sitting on your couch and we're just sitting in these uncomfortable chairs.
Okay, kind.
It's a joke.
Danko. Thank you, Lynn Moleko. Any closing statements?
Stay Onside. We love you. Boom, boom. Don't forget, follow us on all the socials. It's Onside ZA across all the platforms.
Bye, darlings.
Thank you so much to Len Moleko, Tsepi Worldwide,
Thank you,
Super
darling.
Sub, and
Danko.
you, most of all, the ballers. Thank you to you. This has been Onside ZA, brought to you by Betway. Get way
Wait,
more.
no.
Remember, place any bet on a UEFA Champions League round of 16 match and go into a draw to win one of 200 750 Rand sports bonuses every game week, plus up to 50,000 Rand in cash prizes after both legs of the round of 16. From me and the team, thank you. Stay onside. Don't be offside. Be onside with us and Betway.
Where you get
And big ups to Shots
Way
Tabang.
more.
Shots by Tabang.
shots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
by
thank you,
Tabang.
Shots.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't actually give him the flowers.
Yes.
Danko shots.
Yes. Well, he got his
Shots,
flowers.
we love you.
His
But
lilies.
he knows, yo.
Danko, we're out.
Bye. Danko means thank you.
He got his